Welcome to the Human CMO, a conversational interview style show that humanizes leadership at the highest level of modern marketing. I'm Katie Kuperman, co-host and 6-time published author, illustrator, speaker, and book coach who helps leaders turn meaningful ideas into powerful books and conversations.
Hi, and I'm Natalia Arkuszewska, a marketing leader, consultant, and co-host of the Human CMO. I've spent over a decade helping brands and CMOs navigate growth, pressure, and strategy, and now I'm focused on creating honest conversations about what leadership really looks like behind the title. So today we're so excited to have Betsy Miller-Daitch with us. She's the head of marketing at Canoe and best known for her ambitious and forward-thinking approach to the implementation of breakthrough marketing campaigns. She specializes in strategy, development, communications, and multidisciplinary team management and sales process optimization. So Betsy, welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Natalia and Katie. So excited to be here today.
So I'd like to start with where are you calling from and what's in your cup?
Sure thing. I am calling from a small town in Massachusetts called Manchester by the Sea. And I have green tea right now this afternoon, little pick-me-up on a Friday afternoon.
I gotta ask you what brand?
What brand of green tea?
Yes.
It's Yogi.
Oh, that's a good one. I like it.
Okay, pass the test.
Good name. Cheers, ladies. Cheers, cheers, cheers.
Sparkling water. Okay. So what's taking up the most of the space in your head this week?
Sure thing. Yeah. As a marketer, you can never be focused on just one thing that's taking up space. So a few things going on. We had our commercial kickoff this week, so that's very top of mind, and all of the goals for this year. We're onboarding a lot of new tech at the beginning of the year, really investing in a lot of AI tools, and probably the biggest thing that's taking up space is kind of the stress or the pressure of starting at zero again at the beginning of the year. Had a great 2025, and now we're starting again from the ground.
Mm-hmm. It's like starting from zero.
Exactly. Every January starting from zero, but had a great kickoff this week and have some strong plans in place for the year.
Sounds exciting. So do you like this time of year, or do you prefer more the end of the year?
That's a really good question. I mean, I like the whole year. Every single day and week and month is great. But I do love the energy of the beginning of the year. There's a ton of energy at the end of the year in closing business and wrapping up plans and preparing for the holidays. But January has, its own energy. There's a lot that you need to accomplish really fast to set yourself and your team and your company up for success. So it is exciting. It's an opportunity to do things differently and set the stage for innovation and experimentation.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Do you think that there's a certain point in time when most people's extra New Year energy tends to wane a little bit? Is it February? Is it March? Is it the middle of January? I'm always curious about that because everyone starts the year out just like ready to go, right?
Exactly. So excited. Yeah, that's another good question. I think, it's different for everyone, but like we just joined we canceled one gym membership, joined another one on January 1st. And, so like going to the gym at the beginning of the year, like so packed. And then already, January 23, definitely not as busy. So,
that's right.
So it is probably, 2-3 weeks in when people start to, revert back perhaps. But everyone's different. Yeah.
For sure. It's human nature. It's quite funny, but it's also very interesting.
Exactly.
So, speaking of human nature, as you know, we like to get in real deep to the human behind the role. So when people hear the word or the title CMO, What do you think that they assume, or what do they rather assume that doesn't match actual reality with that title?
Yeah, I think that there is still a stigma within marketing as it's something that's easy, it's something that's fluffy, it's something that is, focused on brand. And, a lot of it just kind of boils up to making us look good, making the company look good and sound good. But in reality, there is so much data-driven work involved in making things look easy and making the business look good.
Mm-hmm.
That really no one sees outside of marketing. It's there marketers have been using technology for much longer than a lot of other functions, I believe, that are starting to adopt AI now. But marketing's been using technology for email automation for decades. So I think that, behind the scenes, it's really about like relentless orchestration to make everything look easy to an outsider. And that's, probably
Yeah.
contribute to the stigma.
It's a blessing and a curse because when we make it look easy, then everyone thinks they can do it as well.
Right. Of course.
So does that kind of play into how, what people rarely see about how the job really works behind the scenes?
Totally. Yeah. I guess, you could use like an iceberg analogy with, you see the results, you see the pipeline generated, you see the brand impact, you see the revenue generated, but you don't really see how um, how how you get there. And and there is just so much detail oriented work related to every event, every piece of content, every social media engagement, the way that marketers engage stakeholders around all of these initiatives. There's just so much coordination and detail to generate the results that marketing is able to generate.
Yeah, very true. It's very interesting.
Yeah. And there's, also just there's the emotional side too. There's the data-driven work, there's the detail-oriented work. But I would say in, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 cases when marketers are working on an initiative, like it's always in a collaborative fashion. You're always partnering with a client, with a partner, with an internal stakeholder. And so there's a lot of emotional connection also involved in getting to the results that are needed and expected in managing different stakeholders effectively to get to that end state. So there's a lot of art involved too that isn't usually seen in that way.
And psychology.
Totally. Interested in your views on this too. Like, what do you feel is rarely seen? Like, do you agree, or what else would you add?
Yeah, I mean, I found it interesting what you said about, building out the pipeline and there's some big success or it leads to sales. I never really thought about it that way, that you that there's this stigma around that title, just because I guess I've always been in marketing and I highly value marketing and I personally see everything that goes in. And a lot of times I'm trying to do a lot of the marketing myself. So I would love to have a CMO on my team to just offload that. So I think there's a lot that goes into marketing. And I think it's very interesting to hear you say there's some kind of stigma, the CMOs, they just make us look good. But it's so much more than that, because without the marketing, no one's going to find you. You could have the best product in the entire world. And I know this firsthand. It's hard to get in front of the right people and the right audience at exactly the right moment. And with that message that's going to make them say, you just spoke to me. I want this. It's a lot.
It is. Yeah. There's a lot of pressure to get to that end goal.
Yeah.
I find for me, the biggest challenge has been, like continuing to find like the excitement and passion in marketing when you're in that position of leading, because and I don't know, again, if this is something that you deal with on a daily basis, and it depends on, who you work with, but a lot of the times I've partnered with brands and companies or teams where you're doing a lot of explaining how marketing works versus actually doing it, because to your point, everyone thinks, oh, that's easy. Why don't you just, like run a paid ad and get some customers? And it's like, okay, well, it's not that simple. And then, it's just like you're spending all that energy having to just, get the things that you need. That's definitely been a reoccurring challenge in the last few years for me.
To kind of keep the energy up while you're doing a lot of explaining, but you have to execute. You can't spend all of your time explaining. Yeah. And I guess, so yes, that happens from time to time. And I guess my approach to that is to express as simply as possible what we're doing, why we're doing it, and then just get back to work on it. Kind of applying like best practices within marketing, like know your audience, communicate clearly, deliver the message that you feel will resonate with that audience, whether it's the executive leadership team or the board or your team, like always tailoring your message, trying to keep it as succinct as possible to be clear, and then move on to what you really need to do.
Yeah.
Just, some of the things we have to deal with. Amongst all the other fun we have. All right. So I guess now it's on to me. Before we keep going, I just want to pause and give you some space. So what feels heavier about this role than earlier in your career?
Yeah. I mean, I think that probably every single CMO in the world is under pressure to do more with less. I think that, with the advent of AI and when ChatGPT became popular in 2023, like now we're here in 2026, and there's just a lot of pressure, a lot of expectation to do more, and to not expect to hire more people on your team in order to do the work that's needed. I think that's, definitely feels heavy, but also it's like, that's another challenge. CMOs and marketers are great at solving challenges and solving problems. So, so it has been, heavy, but also fun to experiment with so many tools and figure out what works for us, what doesn't. And, and with that, there's just the pace of change is just so accelerated. Marketing is just moving at a pace that it's really unprecedented in the tools and how you can connect various tools together. Like, for example, we're connecting Claude to Slack to Notebook LM in order to create an output for competitive intelligence. Like, that would be a project, an initiative that would take a month 3 years ago, and now it is 10 minutes.
Yeah, Betsy, that's what I was just going to ask you. It's one thing to say this pressure to deliver more with less, but where does time come into that? Because I bet there's even more pressures now. It's like, well, we know all the tools you have at your disposal, particularly when it comes to AI, so you better have this done yesterday. Do you feel that as well?
Yeah, I feel like there is a lot of pressure, where timelines, where in the past, perhaps they would be, and I work for a startup, a scale up company. So, in the past, perhaps the timeline could be 2 weeks or a month. Now the timelines are like 1 day to a week, and that is very consistent. So, and we are keeping up with it with the tools that we have. But it's still, challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy the challenge, or do you sometimes wish to go back in time to how things used to be?
Yeah, no, I always love a challenge. It's an opportunity to push yourself, and I really believe that, like, in all aspects of my life. So, while Yeah, things were definitely simpler a few years ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago. But it's exciting to just be learning every day, learning, testing, optimizing, and yeah, tight timelines are certainly a challenge. Like there's a lot of energy around solving problems within a short time frame too, which I enjoy.
Yeah.
But definitely not for everyone.
Yeah. Survival of the fittest.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess so.
So what does this job demand from you personally and not professionally? What would you say?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, like what we were just talking about, like how timelines are often like they used to be whatever I said, like, 2 to 3 weeks to a month, and now they're like 1 day to a week. Um, I think it's really showing up for my team with a lot of perseverance, grit, strength, whatever you want to call it, to guide the team in this like new era, if you will, of like how marketers are operating, because it is so much to process, and everyone has different experiences, and when the pace of change and the pace of asks from the business continually is accelerating. It takes so much grit to keep up and stay level headed. And so I find personally, that's been like, I would say like one of the most challenging aspects. Like, like even if I personally can handle it, that doesn't mean everyone on my team can, and I need to guide everyone on that path.
It's putting a lot on yourself, but it sounds again that you enjoy it, so you're the right fit.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure, but but it's also a challenge to like stay calm and centered when things around you are very busy and hectic. And I also enjoy that. That's also something that's not for everyone, but it is a challenge, and it is like a exciting challenge for me to have so many diverse things that are kind of spinning at once, and be able to rationalize what's important, what's not. Here's what we're going to focus on. Here's what we're not. Here's why. And like, let's go get it. So that's been, demanding, but also like, this is kind of like a next level challenge in like where we are as CMOs these days.
What would you say in terms of, bearing that heaviness? You mentioned, other people maybe can't keep up with that pace as well as others. Do you find that as a CMO, you're using a lot of your time to manage people and your team, and maybe bigging people up, helping them feel like they are capable so that you're working together as this powerful team underneath you? Or do you find that most of your time is spent on strategy or thinking up new ways to grow the funnel, get the sales, or whatever it may be? Or is it really a balance between the two?
Yeah, it is. It is a total balance, and it changes from day to day.
Yeah.
It kind of depends on like where we are within a certain vertical, like within content marketing or growth marketing or product marketing. Like there are always different initiatives happening, and if the vertical team like has a solid plan with goals and we're executing, then I would say like there's less management needed. It's more like oversight, guidance. But then, but there can also be like very tricky issues that we're working through where, where I am so much more involved. So and I would love to spend more time on our overall strategy. But for the most part in the business, the stage that we're in, there's a lot of on the ground work.
Okay. Sometimes in these interviews, it's like there's the questions, and then there isn't always space to talk about something that you care really deeply about right now. So, what is that for you at this moment that you care deeply about and that you would like to bring to this conversation?
Yeah, good question. I mean, there are so many things that I'm interested in and that I would love to talk about. I have kind of two different things here, and would love to hear where you'd like to take it. I have kind of two topics. So one is really around work-life integration and making it work in a demanding work environment and still showing up for your family and your friends and your community. And then the second one is something that I've been thinking about for probably a year or so and have not executed on it, which is how to truly create and integrate AI teammates into a human team. I've heard some, yeah, I know, it's just like,
Katie and I have been talking a lot about the last while.
Oh,
yeah, it's crazy. I mean,
crazy.
yeah, like you hear some great case studies, like larger businesses, but also like AI native businesses that have popped up over the past couple of years that are having success. But for a company like Canoe, we have 10 people on the marketing team. Everyone has a very specific role, all high performers. And like, where would we adapt the team to kind of offload tasks to AI and create those processes? It just seems like such a heavy concept, but so interesting and exciting as well.
Okay, first question that comes to mind is if you were to do this, does that mean one or more of your 10 current teammates is getting canned and you're bringing in an AI teammate? Or are you helping them do their jobs better and everybody stays?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, my goal would be to keep everyone and elevate the work that's possible with bots.
But do you think that's realistic? Or do you think, let's call, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, right?
Yeah,
Right? Like,
yeah.
the owners of the company, are they saying, well, why would I keep these people when we can create an AI teammate right here that's going to do the exact same thing and maybe faster and better?
Yeah.
Cut the
Yeah,
cost.
no, I mean, good devil's advocate there. Like, it is challenging, and I think that some areas of marketing are safer than others. Also, I mean, I do think that, just to preface this whole thing, I do think that marketing has adopted AI much more than certainly the other commercial functions, and likely all of the other business functions aside from perhaps engineering.
Mhm.
So with that, we're in a good spot to retain our headcount because our marketing people do need to align and work with salespeople and align and work with relationship managers and align and work with the support team and align and work with partners and clients and conference organizers and all of the people that are part of executing on the marketing work that's needed in order to grow the business. So with that, I feel like we're in a good spot for now. It's not going to be like that forever. Other commercial functions are going to adopt AI in similar ways, and then things are going to get tricky. Um,
I have a friend who's a head of software engineering for a tech company, and I've been hearing that, they're using AI to, write code, and they've actually been eliminating some people from the team since doing that because, it's more efficient and obviously makes, apparently the AI makes less mistakes. So it just overall, I guess, from the guys up top or people up top are thinking like, well, let's make some cuts and like let's keep going with this way of or this approach.
So I think, when we really think about what's going to happen, I think I've never heard that term before, AI teammate. So this is really interesting for me. And I think it's cool that you're thinking about it, because I do think that that makes perfect sense with the way that we're headed. But I do think that the key is going to be, what are we doing with those AI teammates? I think if we get to a point where companies are largely replacing human beings for let's just call them all AI teammates, even though they won't all just be teammates. Maybe they're going to be higher up, lower down, doing them, who knows? But I always say that AI, even in the writing space that I'm heavily involved in, people are using it. But the question becomes, how are you using it? And you still need the human touch. You need the human discernment to know, oh, this isn't right. This is a little bit off. This sounds robotic. This isn't real. This isn't authentic. We're not going to connect with people this way, especially from a marketing space.
Right.
You need that human discernment to be able to think like a human being, because we still have human beings on this earth. It's not like we now have robots selling to robots yet. So so I think we have to create a balance. It's just like anything else in life, having that balance between, we're using AI because we have to in order to stay current, but we still need the human touch.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And like you said, like AI bots aren't selling to AI bots, like AI buyers aren't selling to, or aren't buying from AI sellers yet. But that likely will happen in the future. But I completely agree. Like, it's the discernment, it's the taste that you need in order to resonate with your audience. There's no getting around that. And I guess my hope would be that, the team that I have today, every headcount, if the roles are converted into AI teammates in some capacity in the future, that those roles evolve into other ways of executing marketing work that we're not thinking about today, like whether it's like connectivity between systems or other ways to other areas that need the human touch as well in order to thrive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, everyone is motivated differently, like going back to the psychology of, of who we are. So I'd imagine for some people, it would be motivating and inspiring to do better or do differently. But for others, perhaps it would be, completely unmotivating, and, and that would be that. But, yeah, but it's a lot to think about and plan for. Marketers are great planners. So, like, thinking about this, talking about this now is a great thing to do, so that we, have a solid perspective, when when this time comes.
I really like that. And that's a wrap for today. Thank you so much for being here with us, Betsy.
Thank
and
you.
We had a blast. Thank you for getting real.
Always stay real.
Cheers.